Kempire is brought to you by
Washington, D.C., the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live tour is coming to your city on August 22nd. But before that, we're coming to Philly on July 10th at City Winery. Then we're going to Atlanta on August 5th. Then we're going to Washington, D.C., and this is going to be an all-new show, all new hot topics, all new reality TV conversation, and all kinds of amazing guests and surprises. Be sure to get your tickets today, and don't forget, we're coming back to New York City on September 12th. Go get your tickets. There's also a live stream option exclusively for the New York City show. More information will be available in the description.
You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
It's day 14 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, and we have your update. Mia, his former assistant, is taking the stand again, and we have more to unpack from the last 14 days of the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. And don't forget, you can hear our podcast episodes and updates on the Diddy trial. A lot of times this past week, we added a lot of additional content to some of these episodes because sometimes what I am hearing and reporting on during the day versus of when we're creating the podcast version, there's more stuff that I've picked up on and I add to those episodes. So be sure to subscribe to the Kempire podcast and listen to those episodes as well. Maybe that will be your preferred place to listen. Either way, here we are. All right. Some of you just say you love to see my face, and I appreciate that. Before we get into your Day 14 update, this is my daily reminder. Philly, I'm coming to the City Winery there on July 10th. Then I will be coming to Atlanta on August 5th, Washington, D.C. on August 22nd, then here in New York City on September 12th. Ticket information on the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era, will be available in the description. Be sure to check out all of that, and meet and greets are available, and a live stream is available exclusively for the New York City show. It's been the weekend, so I know there's probably some reminders, or maybe this is your first time watching one of our videos or listening to our podcast. So we'll give you a quick update on some of the things that have been playing out. Multiple personal assistants have testified. Cassie Ventura testified. Dawn Richard testified. And we did a special episode with Kirsten Brown last week. I referenced it multiple times. I'm going to reference it again because a lot of you said it was so eye-opening. You felt so informed when it comes to what we're watching and what the prosecution could be doing. So stay tuned. We're going to bring more experts here on the channel and the podcast to help us be well informed as we're trying to navigate the Sean Diddy Combs trial. So again, our friends over at NBC News got us today, and I will be reading some of what is happening in court because Mia, Diddy's ex-assistant, has taken the stand. She's still on the stand. She's been on the stand. I think this is her third day on the stand. So Diddy's former personal assistant, a woman identified in court by the pseudonym Mia, that's not her real name, is set to return to the stand today after 2 days of testimony. Mia has accused Diddy of SA and other physical violence. Her allegations are forced labor are especially crucial for the U.S. government's racketeering conspiracy case against the rapper. On Friday, Mia was aggressively cross-examined by one of Diddy's lawyers, Brian Steele, who attempted to undermine her account. The defense lawyer confronted her with pictures and social media posts that appeared to show the ex-assistant enjoying her years working for the wealthy mogul. Mia pushed back during cross-examination, insisting that the seemingly carefree Instagram posts, photos, didn't reflect her, quote, misery. At one particular point, Mia said when he asked her a question, she was like, ask my therapist. And which it's like, I get it. And honestly, she, on the stand, when she was being direct, when they had the direct testimony from the prosecution, she was very emotional. She was hyperventilating. She was very uncomfortable. So I wasn't sure how she was going to do when they did the cross-examination from Diddy's lawyers. And she seemed like she was ready for them. She also talked about last week that she did have some sort of settlement with Diddy years ago, but she never planned in that settlement talked about the SAs because she said she planned to take that to the grave with her. But in that settlement, in regards to pay that she was owed, her lawyers asked for $10 million. She ended up only getting $400,000, $200,000, which went to the attorneys, her attorneys. And she talked about a lot of other stuff. I'm not going to revisit everything. We also talked about Trump being asked whether or not he would consider giving Diddy a pardon. He did not say no. So President Donald Trump on Friday revealed he isn't ruling out a pardon for Combs. When asked whether he would consider taking that step, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office that, quote, nobody asked, but that he would certainly look at the facts because that's something he's always done. This is why it pays to watch the video version. Trump added that he hadn't seen or spoken to Combs in years and wasn't following the trial closely. However, if you look at photos of Trump and Diddy, there's quite a few of them, very much like Jay-Z as well. And I know, but Jay-Z also tried to downplay his friendship with Sean Diddy Combs. But Jay-Z's photos are a lot more recent. But okay, we're going to leave that alone. Mia struck a respectful but defiant tone during her time on the stand Friday. She readily acknowledged that she lavished praise and adoration on Combs in emails, texts, and photo captions all over the years, even after he allegedly abused her. On the stand, Mia came across as confident and far less subdued than she was during pivotal parts of Thursday's testimony with the prosecution. Combs seemed interested as a defense lawyer led Mia through the various Instagram posts during cross-examination. At one point, he put on his glasses and leaned toward the monitor to get a closer look. I think that was a little shady, but okay. Testimony by Combs' former employees could prop up the prosecution's case. So this is important to note that I wanted to go through. So this is probably going to be a long one. So you probably won't get this till the evening. Sorry. But that side is the tech side. I will probably do some live just to save on time for myself. But let's get into this because this is important because everyone keeps saying it's a DV case, it's a DV case. They're not proving their case. All of you newbie attorneys. However, some attorneys have agreed that at the beginning of their case, the prosecution's case, it felt like, are they really proving their case yet? But now we're on week 4. Testimony by Combs' former employees could prop up the prosecution's case that the music mogul allegedly oversaw a criminal enterprise that relied on employees and other accomplices to carry out illegal acts. Capricorn Clark, a former assistant to the music mogul, said that Combs was on a revenge mission in December of 2011 after learning rapper Kid Cudi was also dating his girlfriend, R&B singer Cassie. Clark testified last week that Combs, armed with a pow pow pow, commanded her to go with him to Cudi's Hollywood Hills estate. Another accuser who used the pseudonym Mia on the witness stand testified that she worked as Combs' personal assistant for several years and alleged that he SA'd her on multiple occasions during that time. Combs was never charged in the firebombing or the alleged SA. But I want to read the article that they wrote on this. A criminal enterprise may be emerging in Sean Diddy Combs' trafficking trial. So they continue here. They said that Combs, armed with a pow pow pow, commanded Clark to go with him to Cudi's estate. Get dressed, Combs allegedly told Clark after beating on the door of her home. We're going to unalive this N-word. After Combs and a member of his security team broke into Cudi's home, she said they saw he wasn't there, setting off a violent chain of events that she would tell a Bad Boy record executive about 3 months later. I told him that Puff kidnapped me with a GUN, Clark said. Clark's stunning testimony in the third week of Combs' trial provided another example of the control he allegedly wielded as head of the New York-based record label. Building on the premise set forth by prosecutors that Combs allegedly oversaw a criminal enterprise that relied on employees and other accomplices to carry out illegal acts. Clark's testimony is certainly helpful in painting a sinister image of Combs, of his manipulation and his coercion, in his control and his violence, which will be beneficial to the prosecution down the line in the terms of gaining the jury's sympathies that this guy was up to no good and needs to be put away or at least held accountable, said Mark Chutkow, a defense lawyer who handled racketeering cases as a federal prosecutor in Detroit. Combs has pled not guilty to 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in. As per the federal racketeering statute, the government must prove at least 2. We talked about this with prosecutor Kirsten Brown. As per the racketeering statute, the government must prove at least 2 predicate offenses or crimes committed via a criminal enterprise. They're telling the story by first building up this enterprise. Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, spent 4 days on the stand in the first week of the testimony, saying that she felt trapped into and engaging in orchestrated sexual encounters known as freak-offs with male S-workers in hotels and homes, sessions that she said Combs funded. Kid Cudi, whose legal name is Scott Mescudi, testified how his car was firebombed in January of 2012. Following the December break-in at his home, Los Angeles police also testified that evidence showed the break-in was connected to Combs. The car the police observed leaving the scene of the break-in, so that was a question that we had when I collaborated with Kirsten. Did they see the car there? But no, according to this article, they said the car that the police observed leaving the scene of the break-in at Kid Cudi's home was registered to one of Combs' companies, according to testimony from the LAPD officer, Chris Ignacio. Another accuser, who's using the pseudonym Mia on the witness stand, testified that she worked for Combs as a personal assistant for several years and that he SA'd her on multiple occasions during that time. Combs was never charged in the firebombing or alleged SA, as we mentioned. His defense team said in opening statements that Combs is a very flawed individual, prone to violence and jealousy in his relationships, but the sexual encounters were consensual. The tangled relationships Combs has had with employees will have to be addressed by the jury during deliberations, the attorney says, because prosecutors and defense attorneys have raised questions about whether the workers were victims, accomplices, or both. For example, Clark, who testified that she was paid $55,000 a year, said that she set up hotel rooms for the freak-offs at Combs' direction, and she sometimes procured illicit drugs on his behalf. Although she testified that she was kidnapped twice by Combs or his bodyguards and subjected to multiple days of lie detector tests, defense attorney Mark Agnafilo entered in evidence an email Clark sent to Combs in September of 2014 asking for his forgiveness. She did not specify what she wanted to be forgiven for. The email was sent 2 years after Combs fired her and about 2 years before she returned to work for him again. Mia testified to sometimes feeling like Combs was a best friend and working partner, but other times treated her like I was a worthless piece of crap. You do these elements of extortion and coercion and fear and intimidation also at play, which you see in gangs and you see in the mafia and other criminal organizations. And so you think that you don't necessarily have to have co-conspirators and accomplices that are completely voluntary in their commitment to the organization, the attorney said. Employees may have also realized the benefits of being in the powerful celebrity's inner circle, and so may have been willing to go along, he added. That's why you hear the concept of den of thieves. They all have their own agendas at play, but they're still working together towards advancing other criminal objectives. So this is why I'm rehashing this separate article talking about what has been playing out and what the prosecution has been doing in regards to laying out their case. Employees may have also realized that benefits from being in the powerful celebrity's inner circle, and so may have been willing to go along, he added. That's why you hear the concept of den of thieves. Okay, so we went through that. He says, the attorney Chutkow says that probably the way the prosecution will categorize this for the jury and say, hey, we would love to be able to put on witnesses like firemen and nurses for you, but that's not the world that Combs worked in. Bad and illegal behavior does not necessarily guarantee a racketeering conviction, said Mark Zuduri, a veteran trial and appellate lawyer in New York. There is a lot of evidence of violence and possible criminal activity, he says of Combs' trial. But all of this still does not answer the question whether the jury will find an enterprise and a conspiracy. There's no question that a jury can and will consider a so-called victim's own complicity in the matters that were violent and even illegal. Attorney Rachel Mayman, a former federal prosecutor for the Southern District of New York, this would be interesting because she understands how they work, said that while racketeering charges can be complex, prosecutors can sometimes prove the charge with only one witness or even circumstantial evidence. I don't know if they've met all the elements of racketeering yet, But prosecutors are showing that Diddy used employees from his business and organization to carry out criminal activities, she said. They're linking the crimes to his business. So I wanted to read that to you because that has been the consistent comment. They haven't proved their case. They've only proved DV. But if you listen to our collaboration with Kirsten last week, she already kind of laid out, well, no, this is what they've showed us so far, and this is what they have to do in order to prove that he's met these particular points within the statute. And so far, based on what we've seen in these last 3 weeks, it seems like they have. But have they convinced the jury? Let's see what this week entails. I will just give you guys a heads up. I'm only going to read summaries today. I'm not going to read the testimony from Mia. We did that last week. The only reason why I'm doing that today is because I just did a live for 2 hours. I know you don't want to hear their excuses, but I do find the summary is well-versed in regards to what is playing out in the back and forth. But shout out to Inner City Press. If you would like to see that, you can check it out there. But a lot of you did say that you would like to see me add that to our summaries as well. But again, doing that will turn these into 3-hour videos and then another 4 hours in order to upload it. I will, when it's prevalent, add some of the context of what they're saying when necessary. But I think today, of all days, I will just give you a summary. Okay? All right. So let's get into what's happening today. So who's expected to testify today? Week 4 of Combs' trial will begin with witness Mia, who used to work for Combs, returning to the stand for a third day to finish cross-examination, followed by a redirect from prosecutors. The following witnesses are expected today: Enrique Santos and Eddie Garcia, who are expected to testify with immunity. That's interesting. Sylvia Oken, a hotel custodian, and Frank Piazza, a forensic video expert. So I'm guessing he will weigh in on the video footage from the hotel where we saw Diddy kicking and dragging Cassie through the hallways of the Intercontinental Hotel. One of the things that I did want to mention to you guys, this is why it's important to listen to the podcast as well. We also talked about a last-minute video that came out not yesterday, at the end of the day on Friday in court, where the defense had video that they got from the internet, and they were trying to include that in court, and the judge decided not to, because they're trying to say that the video shows Mia has a different demeanor, that the demeanor that you're seeing in court is different in this video. And I talked about that in the podcast, and I was saying, well, she's on the stand. I think people code switch in different environments. That could be it. Again, I haven't seen the video. I don't know what they mean by demeanor being different in that video. It's a very short video based on what I've heard. But it also sounds as if the defense got this video from the internet. And this is why I keep telling you, Diddy might be in jail, but he's got a lot of people still working for him on the outside. Well, including outside that courtroom, there are people being paid to wear free Diddy shirts. I don't know who's paying them, but okay. So the district judge, Aaron Subramanian, denied defense efforts to show Mia drinking and having fun on vacation as Combs' team previewed its line of attack on the key government witness. Defense attorney Brian Steele said the footage from Honduras would go to his argument that Mia was let go from Combs Enterprises because of alcohol abuse. But this is their job. They have to discredit her. But the judge sided with prosecution, which claimed that the footage of Mia doing shots would be more prejudicial than probative. All right, that makes... Okay, I have to give the judge has been trying to keep them on track and trying to keep this fair. But I've also told you that they're trying to trigger mistrials left and right. And according to Kirsten Brown, the prosecutor that came here, she said they're doing that intentionally for appeal reasons for in the future. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. This is why you have to talk to lawyers. Eddie Garcia, a security supervisor at the Los Angeles hotel where Combs was filmed attacking Cassie Ventura, briefly took the witness stand to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. We also found out on the stand that Cassie is in the middle of negotiating a final settlement, an 8-figure settlement with the Intercontinental Hotel. The appearance was highly procedural, just so that Garcia could put that request on the record and prompt the government to assure him that he's free from prosecution as long as he testifies truthfully. Garcia left the witness stand, but is expected to return later today. He will return, I believe, tomorrow. I don't know if he took the stand today. I know Mia is done for today. The key prosecution witness, Mia, took the stand this morning for the defense cross-examination. She wore a blouse, slacks, and jacket as jurors filed into the courtroom. Defense attorney Brian Steele opened his line of questioning today by having Mia go over her resume, asking whether she remembered telling Combs that she was multitasking, worked well under pressure, and had thick skin. This is, for anyone that's ever interviewed or have been an interviewee, this is what you say. But you also don't expect your boss to do some of the things that she's accusing Diddy of doing. Yeah, I have thick skin, but not if you're going to literally throw spaghetti at me or SA me and not get proper sleep or working 24 hours a day. Mia told Steele she doesn't remember writing that she has thick skin. He later asked if she thought of herself as a leader, which Mia didn't quite know how to respond to. She did agree that she speaks up for herself and could multitask under pressure. And when asked directly if she had thick skin, Mia says she thought she did. A lot of people probably would say that. The defense, especially if you're trying to work for this big media mogul, this person that you've seen on Making the Band, I'm sure a lot of people have said this to Diddy. Oh, I have thick skin. I could do this. But not realizing that he's going to break the law while working with you. It's one thing to have thick skin and be tough and be able to go for it. This is not what we're talking about, what these multiple assistants are talking about. Capricorn Clark, Mia. The defense introduced a text message from Mia to Combs in which she told the defendant that he once in a nightmare saved her from R. Kelly. Mia said in January 15, 2019 text message, she said she had a terrible dream of being trapped in an elevator with the convicted criminal, but then Combs came and rescued me. Judge Submaranian sustained a government objection, thus preventing Mia from answering why her alleged attacker, Combs, was framed as a savior in her dream. However, the defense still made it a point to the jurors that despite the allegation,
your child has so much potential, but your local schools may not be right for them. Check out K-12. K-12 powered schools are accredited tuition-free online public schools for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. This is not your typical homeschooling. With state-certified teachers specially trained to teach online, your child will learn at their speed, at home, with innovative, engaging technology. Join the more than 3 million families who have chosen K-12. Go to k12.com/podcast today to learn more. That's k12.com/podcast.
Mia had made against Combs, there were times when she held him in the highest esteem. Part of me is sort of like, is this even anything that we should consider? She's talking about a dream. Again, I have to look at the timeline of when she worked with him. This is in 2019. I get what they're trying to do here. When questioned about apparently loving texts Mia sent to Combs in late 2018 and throughout 2019, she testified that she felt bad for Combs after the death of Kim Porter. Porter, who was with Combs for years and the mother of his 3 children, died in November of 2018 from pneumonia, allegedly. Combs' defense showed texts following the time in which Mia wrote that she loved Combs and dreamed of him as her savior months after Porter's death. Mia told the court that she didn't think 5 months was a long time to recover from grief and that she hadn't yet understood what happened to her while working for Combs. She noted that there was a version of Combs who cared for her, and a lot of people have said that too. Despite her near constant contact with Combs while she worked for him, Mia admits that she doesn't have any video of the music mogul during one of his fits of rage. Mia also conceded that she doesn't have a text message to a friend to know any violent outbursts by Combs. The witness testified that she wouldn't have made such a documentation because doing so would have broken trust and confidentiality with her employer at the time. I get that part too. Defense attorney Brian Steele pushed Mia about her testimony last week, during which she said that Combs SA'd her, asking point blank whether the SA testimony was true. I would not lie in this courtroom, Mia said. I never lied in this courtroom. Everything I have said is true. Steele has shown the court multiple messages from Mia to Combs from 2018 to 2020, after she stopped working for Combs, in which she expressed love and good memories. In one message from August of 2020, she wrote that the only things to remember were the good times. Mia told the court that Combs had brainwashed her. She testified that the environment she was in was filled with high highs and low lows. Mia testified that she was always seeking Combs' approval. The witness said that she was, quote, terrified and brainwashed, preventing her from coming forward earlier with allegations of SA against Combs. When defense attorney Brian Steele asked Mia if she had a moral obligation to report Combs immediately, she said that she didn't, because I was terrified and brainwashed. It was only when others came forward publicly that Mia said that she elected to do so too, but she never filed her own civil suit. She says, it's been a long process. I'm still untangling these things. I'm in therapy. Mia is still getting pushed by the defense for years of friendly communications with Combs, despite her testimony that she feared him. Another text from Mia, this time from December of 2022, in which she wishes Combs a happy holiday season, was shown to the courtroom. The defense pointed out that Mia told the jury that she didn't want to see Combs because she feared him. Mia was asked whether she was scared of Combs the entire time she knew him, including from 2019 to 2022. I was scared of him when he was scary, yes, Mia said. The witness' face was briefly shown on an internal courthouse feed, though the error didn't elicit an immediate reaction in the courtroom. Oh, so they had an issue. Uh-oh. And I feel like last week her identity was being not shopped around, but speculated upon last week on Friday. For about 30 seconds, a camera showed Mia, who was testifying under a pseudonym, despite a judge's order that her face not be shown or even drawn by courtroom sketch artists. When her face was shown in a feed to an overflow room, the prosecution didn't lodge an immediate objection. Ooh, Lord have mercy. The prosecutor, Maureen Comey, alerted Submarinian that she felt Combs' defense was mistreating Mia, accusing Brian Steele of humiliating her on the witness stand. Comey laid out concerns that Steele's sarcasm and suggestions that Mia is lying are bordering on harassment, and that Steele is adding to Mia's trauma. I said that last week. The judge did not agree that Steele was mistreating Mia, but he did agree that the questions had been argumentative and cumulative in nature. The judge said that he heard Comey's concerns and he would be on the lookout for offensive conduct. He added that the government would alert the court if he found any. The judge warned Steele that he can ask a question and move on, but if he believes that Steele is asking something just to get it out there, he will step in. The witness said that she was very close to Cassie Ventura, but admitted not telling Combs' girlfriend everything she could have. Mia conceded that she didn't tell Ventura about Combs' alleged SA on her. She also said that she would keep the music mogul's whereabouts from Ventura under his orders. I remember covering for him and feeling terrible about it. Mia told the court that she felt terrible about covering for Combs with Ventura, his former girlfriend, but felt that if she didn't, he would have taken away his access to her. Mia testified that Combs would find out because he stole their phones and put tracking devices on Ventura's car. She added that she wasn't sure what Combs was capable of and reiterated that she was terrified. Mia spoke to Cassie Ventura after Combs' former girlfriend filed her November 2023 lawsuit detailing SA allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. But Mia testified that she didn't tell Ventura about her own experiences of SA from Combs during that conversation. I was still deeply ashamed and wanted to die with this, Mia told the court. After her departure from Combs' employment, Mia said that she went to mediation and originally asked for $10 million. Steele, the defense lawyer, asked Mia if she demanded that eight-digit sum from a lawsuit. She responded that her claim against Combs went to mediation, and that's where the $10 million emerged as an opening position in the negotiations. They eventually settled for $400,000 with her lawyer retaining about half of that, Mia said. That's crazy to me. Combs' defense pushed Mia about why she waited to tell the government her allegations of SA against Combs, saying it took about 7 or 8 months until she revealed the information to prosecutors. Mia told the court that she doesn't remember the exact conversations, but she did not tell the government until she had retained legal representation. The reasons are, quote, privilege, she said. Attorney-client privilege protects the confidentiality of communications between a lawyer and the client. The judge emptied the courtroom for the daily lunch break, telling everyone to be there by 12:50 p.m. Eastern. During the break, the judge said Mia will be given documents to refresh her memory about the numerous meetings she had with the government prior to the trial. The court has reconvened from its lunch break, and Mia will return to the witness stand to continue cross-examination. Prosecutors said that Mia will stipulate that she has met with their team 28 times since 2023. Damn. A lot of times, and I'm sure very triggering. Before we get into the rest of our recap, our summary of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, this is a reminder, be sure to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. And don't forget, you can hear an audio version with additional content on the Kempire podcast. While you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. There's a lot of exclusive content that I don't post here as well. And don't forget, the Kempire After Dark, the villain era, is coming to Philadelphia on July 10th, then Atlanta on August 5th, then Washington, D.C. on August 22nd, and then finally here in New York City on September 12th. There's a live stream option for the New York City show only. Get your tickets today for that. There's meet and greets available for all of the shows. More information and everything in regards to the tour and everything Kempire will be available in the description, along with our fundraiser for Pride Month. So if you can, be sure to donate to our fundraiser for Pride Month. We're trying to raise over $3,000 for the LGBTQIA plus center here in New York City. All right, let's get back into our Diddy update. According to NBC News, one female juror was seen smiling, seemingly enjoying defense attorney Brian Steele's cross-examination of Mia. Sometimes the juror widened her eyes and furrowed her brow, appearing skeptical of some of Mia's testimony. That's some tea. I didn't expect that to be included in our summary today. Because again, we have to remember there are no cameras. There's no audio. There's just people inside the court. There's an overflow room with people that are watching this play out as well. But the overflow room they're not able to see Mia. The witness said that she went on to work for Madonna after being let go from her job with Combs, refuting insinuations that she had not been employed and could be bitter with the defendant. In an 8-month stint with the Material Girl, Mia said that she worked as an assistant in addition to the Icon's film division. Mia said that she secured the Madonna gig independently without Combs' help. The witness also accused Combs of reneging on helping her with a TV show she had developed. But I will say this, probably seeing, I'm sure on her resume to work with Madonna, she had, I worked with Diddy, and that does open up doors. Part of the reason why people, despite his abuses, dealt with his abuses because the name did carry weight at one particular point in the industry. And they're like, oh, you worked with Diddy? Oh, you can definitely work with me then. Mia was asked several questions about Ventura's working life during her years with Combs, as the defense apparently tried to undermine prior witnesses' implications that he stunted Ventura's career, which he tried to do with Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark, in her testimony, said, well, in my experience, she got the lion's share of the resources when it came to Bad Boy. However, for those of us that have seen Cassie's career, the most that she really got was being associated with him. She never really had anything else. They never put out, it's not like they put out an album and the album tanked. You know, it wasn't like they were really trying to do that. And it wasn't like he featured her that much on his own music. And some might say, and again, this is why the defense was like, do you consider Cassie Ventura talented? And Capricorn Clark was honest. She was like, not really. She was definitely no Whitney or Mariah. Damn. But it's true. All right, like we stand with Cassie, but we also got to be honest, right? I'm not going to sit up here and lie. So Mia was asked several questions about Ventura's working life. Defense attorney Brian Steele asked Mia about Ventura obtaining modeling jobs, movie work, and even music she worked on with other artists, such as Wiz Khalifa. Mia testified that all of this was done with Combs' knowledge and consent. Prior witnesses have said that while Ventura recorded music while dating Combs, she was unable to release new albums as a part of her 10-album deal with Combs' record company. And I guess they could argue, well, she just didn't deliver the right kind of sound or the right music because she was no Whitney or Mariah. That's what they were trying to do. Ventura has one studio album, which was released in 2006, and a mixtape, which dropped in 2013. And again, I told you I watched so many interviews around that time, and when her album conversation, talking about when's the Cassie album coming, she looked defeated when talking about it. I think she was a little bit more excited when they finally allowed her to release a mixtape. And even in the interview that she did in promoting the mixtape, she was sort of like, when asked about what do you see in the next 5 years, and she was just like, I'm hopeful that I'll have another album out. And I was like, oh, the signs were there. The signs were definitely there. Okay. Let's move on from there. So Steele revisited the Unalive Myself text message by Mia, echoing what might be the defense's strongest point of this cross-examination. But like in previous instances, Steele asked Mia about her praising Combs. The witness owned it and explained her mindset of wanting to remain employed by the defendant. My entire world was ripped away from me immediately, she said. And even if in hindsight the world was awful, I didn't know it at the time. That's why it felt like everything was ending. And this might be why, maybe because I worked in the world of entertainment. You might say I'm a little bit of a historian when it comes to, especially this era of 90s music in the early 2000s. And now I'm looking at the juror, sort of looking at the witness and just like, not really believing her. Might be because maybe she just comes from a different world and she doesn't understand where this might come from, where people are willing to basically sell their souls in order to be around Diddy. The cross-examination of Mia moved into the former assistant's observations of Combs' relationship with Ventura, specifically whether Ventura was jealous of other women. She testified that in her experience, she only recalls Ventura being upset that she saw Combs with another woman while Ventura was filming in South Africa. Mia testified that the relationship was presented to Ventura as one of exclusivity between her and Combs. When defense attorney Brian Steele noted that clearly wasn't true, Mia told the court it was not clear to her. Which is probably why she ended up cheating, but okay. Defense attorney Brian Steele revisited Mia's prior testimony of the violence she said that she endured while working for Combs, noting that in 14 years, all she ever wrote about Combs were statements of admiration. Mia testified that there was a time where Combs slammed a door on her arm and continued to apply pressure, leaving her bruised. She said that her only interaction with Combs' human resources was for them to enforce a punishment he wanted. Steele recalled her prior testimony saying that she was scared of being unalived, asking Mia if there were times she felt that she could die at Combs' hands. Mia told the court that he had threatened her life and physically assaulted her. Combs' defense ended its cross-examination, allowing prosecutors to redirect Mia's testimony. So they want to clean this up. Mia was asked about her work with Combs, which included managing all of his social media presence. She testified that if Combs did not feel as if she was doing her job, Mia would be punished and her job would have been threatened. This apparently included posting for Combs' birthday, as Mia told the court she would have been in trouble if she didn't post. So now I'm getting an understanding. So when we're talking about posting, we're not just talking about posting on his socials. He wanted his employees to post about the lifestyle that they were living as being associated with him. And according to sources that I've heard from, Diddy was very much about his image, and not just his own personal image, but the image of his brand and his enterprise, literal enterprise, Sean Combs, Combs Enterprises. So now this is someone's confirming literally what I've heard, that it was very intentional, according to sources, that he put women in positions of power. And it might have been more nefarious than him just saying, oh, I believe in women. I love women. I think women should be in these positions. It might have been more nefarious than we thought. On redirect, Mia said that she had a good reason to keep working hard and ensuring that Combs was pleased. Because when he was happy, I was safe, the prosecution witness said. The defense repeatedly asked Mia why she stayed with Combs despite the alleged assaults that she says that she endured. Mia didn't distance herself from the previous statements of admiration for Combs, saying that the high highs at that point of her career in life and seemed to make up for the low lows. The prosecution had Mia reiterate her feelings of fear in talking about Combs, with her testifying that her terror and difficulty understanding what allegedly happened was partly why she met with the government so much. Prosecutor Madison Smizer asked Mia if she had ever been able to speak about her allegations that Combs SA'd her without looking down. No, it's the worst thing I have ever had to talk about in my life. And again, remember, she said in her testimony that she had planned to go to the grave about that. The witness said that she has no choice but to testify against Combs because she doesn't want her younger female loved ones to turn a blind eye to the issue of SA. Because I can't look at my niece and my goddaughters in the eyes in the future if they happen to be in this situation. Sylvia Oken, area director of sales and marketing at the Beverly Hills Hotel, is on the stand now as the prosecution's next witness. Oken told jurors that Sean Combs used the aliases Philip Pines and Frank Black. Philip Pines, though, was one of his assistants. He was using his assistant's name, right? That was one of his assistant's names, the one that was in the documentary. So he used the aliases Philip Pines and Frank Black for hotel reservations. You can use aliases for hotel reservations. What about when you had to pay for them? She says it's not uncommon for entertainment industry guests to stay at the hotel under an alias. So I guess the hotel just allows them to do that. I'm going to start doing that. I'm not a celebrity, but I don't need y'all, just in case. The ops. Prosecutor Maureen Comey told the court that hours earlier, the face of Mia was mistakenly shown on video piped into the courthouse overflow room. You already know how that's going to be handled now. Hopefully, the people that are wearing the overflow room will be respectful. Judge Subramanian asked if something went wrong with the redacted footage that should have been aired or the incorrect version was used. The prosecution didn't have an answer. With no one expected to return for testimony, prosecutors say they will start tomorrow off by calling a man named Eddie Garcia to the witness stand. Garcia worked as a security supervisor at the Los Angeles hotel where Combs was filmed attacking Cassie Ventura in March of 2016. He briefly took the stand today to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. He received an immunity order sparing him from potential prosecution so as long as he answers questions truthfully. It makes me wonder why some of these other people didn't do it when they are testifying. I guess maybe they weren't advised, or maybe it was, I don't know. But you could see those that are doing it, it's being said in court. Court is adjourned for the rest of the day. I don't know, guys. Based off of Mia's testimony, I do think that it will be interesting to see how the jury takes this. Because we have to keep in mind, it doesn't matter what you or I think about what we're reading and discovering in this case. We also have to keep in mind, there's some of this stuff that we're not shown. There's specifically for sensitivity and securing some of this information, there's a lot of stuff that we're not shown. Also, the jurors are given guidelines on how to come to their decision. So I just don't see us really being able to understand or predict where the jury will go with this information. Again, as we had the conversation with Kirsten Brown, who's a prosecutor, there are guidelines that they will have to follow in order to say guilty or not guilty in regards to the charges that he's facing. And I know you've seen so many keyboard warriors, keyboard attorneys that are saying they haven't proved their case. And maybe they haven't yet. But now we're getting into the fourth week, and I think we'll have a better idea. However, as I said before, there are some key elements that the prosecution has put out there that would constitute what he's been charged with. However, did Brian Steele this week at least chip away at the jury's belief in what they've seen already, from Cassie Ventura's testimony to Capricorn Clark to now Mia? And it has to be unanimous. It has to be unanimous guilty or unanimous not guilty on these charges. So we shall have to wait and see. Guys, as always, we will continue this conversation in the comment section. And don't forget, you can hear a podcast version of this along with some additional extended content. Be sure to subscribe to the Kempire podcast. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe here. Be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. As always, thank you so much for watching and for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. As always, you can hear Kempire on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. More information can be found on KempireRadio.com.